Okay, so when we develop our PHP page, the first thing we obviously want to do is declare it as PHP. So now everything between these two question marks will be read by our server as our PHP script. We've got a few things that we want to do in here. The first is we need to receive data from user form. Then just to be secure, because even though we're posting data, we probably want to check for malicious code. We then need to set up Twitter, and then we want to gather our authentication data. Once we've gathered our authentication data, we want to then see if we can authenticate with Twitter and get some values. So we're going to say authenticate with Twitter using access tokens, and then we want to run a query. So we want to actually ask Twitter something. So we're going to search for a specific value, or we're going to look for a hashtag, or anything really we can do in here. Once we've got it established and that we can receive values back, you can really do anything that is available through the Twitter API. Okay, but before we get to that level of complexity, let's check that we can receive data from our other code. Okay, so let's receive data from our user form. To do that, what we want to do is set up blank. We're going to set up a blank variable to hold the input. So I'm going to declare a variable by doing $sign and input user input. And I'm going to set it equal to absolutely nothing. And this is important because it means that every time that the user sends a value to this PHP script, it means it will force it to have to check to see whether it's valid or not. Then what we're going to do is we're going to insert a special if statement. We're going to add a conditional that checks to see if any data has been sent to this web page via post. So we're going to say if the $_server on all capitals, square brackets speech request underscore method, close square brackets was equal to post inside speech, then we want something to happen. So we're going to do curly braces to execute our if code. So now this says that if the server has received something via the post method, then do something with it. And we're going to set our value, user input, equal $_ capital post, and then the value that we sent through, which in this case was speech value. So now, if I was to save this and then type echo $user input and save, and echo is the way to print a string variable here. So what I should be able to do is if I upload all of this, so my folder to my server, I should be able to navigate to my website, PHP for video /index.html. I should be able to input a value that will be passed to my Twitter data.php script, and it will just read that value back to me. So I'm going to check that connection now. So I'm going to go to my FTP, navigate to this folder that we've made. So I'm going to refresh my left-hand side here. And I called this PHP for video. I'm just going to drag and drop that folder into my server. And once that's successfully completed, I'm going to navigate to michaelmckellar.co.uk /PHP for video /index.html. And we can see we're given the exact same page that we saw in brackets, but now it is technically connected to the right page. So if I let's search something. So I'm going to say test input, submit it, and we can see we're passed to the twitterdata.php page, and it echoes back whatever our input was. So again, I can change this to ABC123, submit, and it goes through. What this also does mean though is that I could technically pass a script through. And you'll see that Chrome in this case will cause an error because it's seen that I've tried to pass script through in a post. What we need to do is we want to add something to our website that stops this code ever reaching this point of execution, as we see here. So back in brackets, what we're going to do is we're going to add a function that's going to clear up our code. And we're going to call it function strip data. we're going to pass some sort of data into it. And then inside that data, we want to add a bunch of functions like an HTML strip would do to remove all of the bad values. So up here, when I set my user input equal to my posted value, I'm actually going to run it through my strip data function before it reaches a variable inside my PHP page that's used for anything. So this is where the bad thing happens, because it's actually used. So in here, what are the few things we want to do? So there's probably three normal things. One would be to trim our data. So if there's any trailing spaces before or after, that'll get rid of it. We then want to remove slashes. Then we want to remove special HTML characters. So that means it'll remove parentheses and triangle brackets, things like that. And all of these have functions that are already built into HTML and PHP, so we don't need to worry about defining them, we just need to call them correctly. So first thing I'm going to say is data, the data we're passing in, is equal to trim data. And we can see that trim turns blue by default, so it's recognized that it is a function already inside HTML. So after that, we then want to remove the slashes. So we're going to do data equals strip slashes, I believe it is. Again, it's gone blue, which is a good sign. And then finally, we want to remove the special HTML characters. So it's data is equal to HTML special cars data. And then we want to return data. So we start our PHP script. It clears our user input variable. Then it says if the server has sent anything to this web page via the post method, set it equal to user input, so a variable we can use, but first run it through the strip data function. So down here in the strip data function, we trim out blank space, remove any slashes, and then remove any special HTML characters and send that back. So now if I go save that, I'm going to go inside my PHP for video, and I'm just going to drag and drop and replace my two files. Now inside of my FTP, I've enabled it for this video so that it just automatically overrides anything that I ask it to. Okay, with the latest file uploaded, I should be able to go to my website, which is here. I'm going to refresh it just for the sake of it. I'm going to pass that through, and we see that it still seems to work fine. Now I can add things like blank space to the start and the end. I can include slashes, and it will remove them so as to not cause dangerous code. So you can see the ones in the middle get removed. Okay, that's good enough for now. The sort of thing we're doing isn't dangerous in any way, shape, or form, so it's just good to have that done.